I would take a minute and post up a little video showing you where I get some of the wood for my projects. I just picked up 3 church pews today. It's got a 15 footer, a 14 footer, and a 12 footer. And there's a lot of really nice oak in that. The nice thing about this stuff is it's old wood. It's all nice and straight. And it's really not warped. So let's get this cleaned up and off of the trailer. Alright, that wasn't the prettiest unloading, but you'll see as I go through this that I really didn't damage anything that I was planning on keeping. So when I look at these, it's a padded bench. The first thing that I wanted to do is make sure when I looked at these things that we were looking at solid wood. And so the backs on these are solid. So that's good and that's usable, and that's for the most part what I bought them for. Now, when I see this padded seat, that tells me they're probably not as old as some of them out there. And we'll have to take a look at this to see if there's anything we can use. So I flip this one over and you can see that on the underside this is plywood. So these, I don't know, I would guess these are probably, from the 70s maybe at the oldest, just because of the materials that they're using. And then these little shelves underneath there are just a pressed board. So this stuff isn't really usable. Certainly these legs are solid wood. They're doubled up. I'll hang on to that. Sometimes I may be able to use some of that stuff. And then these end pieces, again, are solid wood. There's kind of a funny shape, but I might be able to pull something out of there, so I'll set those aside as well. But all in all, I've got a 12 footer, that's a 15 and a half footer, and that's a 14 and a half footer. And this is probably just around 2 feet maybe. So that's a lot of lumber, and it'll just go into storage here for future projects. So let's tear one of these things down. right, there it is disassembled. It's just a matter of kind of thinking about how it might have been put together and then taking your time and pulling it back apart. So that is a nice piece of wood. All right, I'm looking at these legs that I took off of the pews, trying to figure out what I could do with them. It's such an odd shape. There's not a lot of continuous wood. But the more I look at these, I think they might be used to make legs for a small table, because there is a fairly long section here that's angled, and I might be able to do something with that. These are about 1.5 inches thick. So I'll set those aside, and I'll definitely come up with a use for them. All right, 2 of my 3 benches or pews, the longer ones, actually have a seam in them. It's kind of interesting. You can see it right there. Runs the full width of this thing, and you wonder how did they do that? How did they keep it together? Let's take a look at the edge here. You can see they've got a piece of metal in here as a spine that runs that full distance. So I can't use it this way, don't want to use it this way, so I'm going to take this piece out, break this into 2 pieces. They're so big. This one's 15 feet long. It's too big to store anyway, so I'm going to cut it down. Okay, that's it. Everything's disassembled. I've got 37.5 feet of running board here. And between cutting off where these holes run and these rails, I've got just around 18 inches. So this is good, usable lumber. I mentioned these earlier. I've got these legs here. I'll set those aside. I'm sure I'll come up with a use for those. I've got these end pieces. I'm less sure about what I can do with those, but I'll set them aside just the same. And I hung on to the fasteners. There's a lot of really nice square drive screws in there, which lead me to believe that these are a little bit newer than I earlier thought. They're probably in the 80s based on those fasteners. And lastly, here's some items that I found wedged in between the cushions. This playing card is a little strange. Who's playing cards during church? The other thing that's odd about this one, why is the 8 of diamonds blue? All right. So look for this wood to show up in some upcoming projects, and thanks for watching.